Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily Quiz for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 24th August today and we are going to discuss some very important questions in this session. Every day we take up this class, we take up the questions with respect to the current affairs, and these are the topics which were in the newspaper today. So we are going to discuss these topics little bit in detail and take up some questions which can be framed from these articles. And also, as I had promised you that every day we will discuss some static portion topic, and we had started discussing the polity itself, and today we are going to discuss the Charter Act of 1793 with respect to our preparation with respect to our preparation with polity. We are going to discuss this Charter Act of 1793. After that, we will discuss few previous year questions as we do every day in this session. So before we start our discussion, I would like to request you guys, please have your notebook in front of you and start writing the questions which I had framed here so that it will develop a question bank for you, and when your exams would be near, it would be easy for you to revise them. And also when you revise them, it will help you revising your current affairs, and also it will boost your confidence while going in the examination hall. Second, please do subscribe the channel and share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited. And also, when you subscribe it, when you watch my videos, it gives me the confidence to work more hard on it and provide the best information possible. So without any delay, let's look at the topics which we have to discuss today, and let us frame questions from these topics. In the Hindu newspaper, there were not very much, or there were not so many articles which were interesting, which were, related to your preparation. I searched very hard and I was able to find these 5 important articles which were relevant to your preparation. So let's have a look at them and let's frame questions from them. The first article is The Road to 2047 for Indian Agriculture. We'll discuss this article little bit in detail. We will see what were the challenges with respect to our agriculture, what were the government initiatives which were discussed in this article itself, and we will frame questions with respect to that. While framing this question, we will have the UPSC mentality, like if, for example, if the UPSC examiner is watching this, is reading this newspaper, how he will form the questions from this newspaper, we will have that mentality and form some model questions for you so that it will help you prepare well. The second topic which we are going to discuss is about the India on the side of peace. As we had seen the tremendous development in the foreign affairs. We saw that PM Modi, he visited Ukraine, which is very unique and different. How it could impact our relationship with Russia, we will discuss that, and what were the key points which we had taken from this visit, and how Ukraine is important for us. And then we will frame some prelims based questions on this topic. After that, we will discuss about energy hungry Singapore, how the limited land of Singapore impacts its renewable energy, and how it has targeted to achieve the net zero emissions by 2050, and what Singapore has to do in while achieving that net zero emission. After that, we will discuss about the impact of Bangladesh's unrest on Indian exports, like the engineering exports. We will discuss about it. Finally, we will discuss about the Pacific leaders discussion about rising sea levels. We will have a little look on it and discuss about it and frame some questions with respect to the prelims. And after that, in the static portion of today, we are going to discuss the Charter Act of 1793. We will discuss it. We'll have a close look at it and take up these important features from this article, from this act, which can be useful for your preparation. Then finally, we will take some previous year questions, which will definitely help you in your preparation. So without any delay, let's have at the first article, as it itself says, the road to 2047 for Indian agriculture. You know, what is this 2047? Why is it significant for India? It is a very ambitious target for India, that India is believing, we are believing that by 2047 we will be developed nation. The economy would be very much developed, and the benefit of the economy would be distributed equally to the people in our country. So this is the target of this is the significance of the target 2047, that we will be developed nation by 2047. But the significance of this target should apply to every sector of our economy. So is the case with the agriculture. But right now, if we will see in the agriculture, there are many drawbacks right now in our country. Even though the population which is participating in agriculture is 43%, that is 43% of our country is participating in agriculture, but unfortunately the contributions that they get from that is only 18% of the GDP. So there is a huge difference between the participation and the contributions they get. So there are various challenges with respect to the agriculture. There are various challenges that we have to curb to achieve this target of 2047. We have to modernize our agriculture. We have to reach at that level where while every farmer is achieving equitable growth, where every farmer is achieving the benefit of the agriculture. Right now there is huge inequality in the distribution of agriculture. What are the reasons for that? We will discuss this in this article. You know about the challenges right now in our agriculture, or there is huge. The first challenge which the article itself discussed about, the huge challenge with respect to the Indian agriculture, is economic imbalance. Why is this economic imbalance in our country with respect to the agriculture? The main reason for this is the distribution of the land. The land is highly fragmented, and there are two types of farmers. First, those who have huge lands available to them and they are able to get the benefit of the agriculture. They are able to go for the diversification of the crops. They can use their land for other poultry purposes, for veterinary purposes, and they can forming farms of animals. They can use their land in different ways. But there are 86% of the farmers which are either small or marginal. They don't have that much available land which they can use for different purposes, which they can use for different which the land which they can use in different ways. So there is highly there is huge economic balance because of this, because those marginal and small farmers, they are relying on this same crops. They are relying on the same crop. They cannot go for the diversification. Because of that, their income is very much limited. Irrespective of those farmers who have the huge lands available, they can easily go for the diversification. They can shift their sectors, and they get the huge benefits. So one of the drawback of our one of the challenge in our agriculture is that the economic imbalance, and that is because of the fragmentation of the land which we have in our country. It is said that 86% of the farmers in our country are either small or marginal. Now, moving forward to the next issue with our land is the issue of land degradation. After the Green Revolution came, there was over reliance on wheat and rice. So this over reliance led to the land degradation, because we did not shifted the crops. We Because of the profit it generated to the farmers, they relied on the wheat and rice. They did not went for the shifting of crops. They relied on rice and wheat, and they overused the overused the fertilizers, and because of that the land got degraded, and it reduced the quality of nutritions in the land, and this led to the degradation of the land. So this is another reason, another challenge with respect to the Indian agriculture. The third challenge is the climate. It is the climate challenge, because we had seen impact of heat waves, the uneven climate in our country, sometimes unseasonal rains that has destroyed the crops of the farmers. The heat waves had destroyed the crops, it had destroyed the growing plants. So it has definitely impacted the agriculture in the worst way possible. Then also another issue is the market access. For every crop there is not that availability of the market. Market access is very much difficult for different varieties of the crops. So this is also one of the issue. And also the infrastructure. That is one of the major issues with respect to the Indian agriculture, because we don't have cold storages, the connectivity which from farmlands to the market, that is not that well developed. So all these leads to the least development of the agriculture in our country. These were the few challenges which were mentioned in the article itself with respect to the Indian agriculture. Now, even though we have these challenges, but government is trying to improve the agriculture to its best. They had brought out many initiatives with respect to the agriculture, with respect to the farmers, so that their income can rise, so that we can achieve this target of 2047 with respect to the every sector of our economy. So what are these government initiatives which were discussed in the article? Let's have a look at it. The first initiative which was mentioned in the article is the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. It is about improving irrigation availability of water to the farmers. About this, it has helped the farmers in the best way. It was introduced in 2015. It has helped farmers in the best ways, but we need to increase the speed. We need to move this scheme way faster, so that it will be reached to the every hook and crook of the country. It should reach to the every minutest village of our country. So this is one of the concern. This is one of the initiative, which is Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sanchai Yojana. The second initiative which was brought by the government is PM Fasal Bima Yojana. It is a crop insurance scheme. It is in fact the biggest crop insurance scheme in the world. But there are some issues. What are the issues with this scheme? That whenever the insurance company predicts the weather, whenever they see that the climate would be very much uneven, so they stop taking the premiums from the farmers, and once the crops fail, they do not pay the required money. So there are some bureaucratic challenges with respect to this scheme, PM Fasal Bima Yojana. And also the another scheme which was introduced, of which we highly know, is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, which is PM Kisan. It helped in providing direct money transfer to the farmers. But right now 6,000 is provided in 3 installments, but it is the need of the time that, taking the inflation in the view, the government should adjust the money. They should increase the amount with respect to that. And this scheme has highly helped the farmers in doing their agriculture stuff. Then after that, we also saw that in 2013 it was named as the International Year of Millets, for the promotion of the millets, as they are highly, they don't need that much water to grow, and they are highly healthy for the consumption. So promotion of millets, International Year of Millets was introduced, was in 2023. It was named as the International Year of Millets. Then we also saw the money agricultural infra funds were provided, and also we saw that soil health card scheme was brought in. So these were the few schemes which were mentioned in the article itself. Now let's look at how the UPSC examiner can form a question from this with respect to your prelims. Many questions can be formed on this article itself. A question can be formed on Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. A question can be formed on PM Fasal Bima Yojana. A question can be formed on Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sanchai Yojana. So let us see. And in different ways the questions can be formed. Direct question can be formed on the impact of the agriculture in Indian economy. There are many different ways a question can be formed. Now let's see what question we had formed for you with respect to this article. Here the question says, which of the following statements regarding the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sanchai Yojana are correct? Here we have the statements. Let's find out which of the following statements are correct. The first statement, the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sanchai Yojana was launched in 2015, 100% correct, with the primary objective of improving irrigation infrastructure and water use efficiency in Indian agriculture. 100% correct, nothing wrong with this statement. The second statement, the scheme operates under three major components. Har Khet Ko Pani, 100% correct. per drop more crop, 100% correct, and watershed development, 100% correct. Third, the scheme provides for 100% central assistance to states for the construction of new irrigation projects and renovation of existing ones. No, scheme does not provide 100% from central assistance. States have to also provide their funds in this scheme. So statement 3 is incorrect. Fourth statement, PM Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sanchay Yojana aims to increase the water use efficiency through micro irrigation techniques and watershed management practices. 100% correct. So for this question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 2, and statement 4. So with this, let's move to the another question which can be formed from this article. Let's have a look at that. Here the question says, which of the following statements about the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi PM Kisan scheme are correct? Here the first question, PM Kisan provides direct financial support to all land holding farmers in India regardless of their land size and purpose. When it comes purpose, it is definitely incorrect, because PM Kisan targets land holding farmers, but there are specific exclusions such as institutional landholders and higher income categories. So there are some exclusions with respect to it. So statement 1 is incorrect. Looking at the statement 2, under PM Kisan, eligible farmers receive 6,000 per year in 3 equal installments. 100% correct. Statement 3, the scheme is implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, but funds are transferred directly from the state government. 100% correct. So for this question, the correct statements are statement 2 and statement 3. With this, let's move towards the second topic which was in the newspaper today. Let's have a look at that. Let's see what it is about. India on the side of peace, says PM Modi. We saw a very important and interesting news in the newspaper. In the international affairs, we saw that it was the first visit of Indian Prime Minister to the Ukraine after their independence. So this shows, it has, we can discuss this news in so many different ways, which every way would be very much interesting. Right now we see the relation between India and Russia. It seemed that it is grooming again. There were some roadblocks recently, but the PM Modi went to the Russia first visit after his third campaign, after his third tenure. It was his first visit was to Russia. It showed to the world how important the Russia is, but we know that the war is going on between Russia and Ukraine, and it is very much surprising that that PM's visit to Ukraine. It was very much surprising because of the relation between India and Russia and relation between Russia and Ukraine. Right now, the war going on. So in this visit, it was highly surprising. It was highly spontaneous, and in this visit, the PM Modi, he clearly showed that what India stands for right now in the world politics. What India stands for, it shows that India does not align with any country. It shows that India has its own approach. It shows that India puts its self-interests first, irrespective of which country it has a relation with. It showed, when India visited Russia, that time it was there in US. There was going, NATO summit was going to be held in US. It went to Russia during that time and showed to the world that India is not dependent. India's foreign policy is not impacted by the choices of what the major economies want. So similarly, right now India went to Ukraine. It showed that India is not dependent on Russia. India's economy is not dependent on Russia, and India's choices are not dependent on Russia. India puts its self-interests first, and it went to the Russia. It went to the Ukraine, and the PM Modi, he clearly said that India does not stand with war. India stands with the peace. India is not neutral in this. India is not staying neutral. India is not staying neutral of what is going on between Russia and Ukraine. India is always standing with the peace. Why he made this comment? Because recently, the Zelensky, the head of the Ukrainian state, he often criticized India for its dual approach. He often criticized India that India is not giving its categorical statement with respect to this war. India is standing with Russia. So with respect to that, India said that we are not neutral in this war. We are standing with the peace. We want peace to prevail. So it is very it was very much interesting, interesting visit of the PM Modi to Ukraine. So after this visit, the Russian head, he stated a few of the statements. He said that if India wants, he can, India can end this war. The Ukrainian head said that if India wants, he can end the war, because right now Russia is very much dependent on India, because we are exporting huge amount of oil from the Russia. If according to Zelensky, if India stops this import of the Russia and puts and isolates Russia, it can help in ending this war. In fact, according to him, India, while purchasing that oil from Russia, India is sponsoring the war. India should stop this oil purchase, but this is least likely to happen. India is not going to go that far. India is not going to make its enemies with Russia. So right now India will not go that far. It is very least to happen that India will go this far against Russia. Russia is very much trusted friend of India, and the trade policies we have with Russia are very much different than we can have with other countries. So here comes the question: why is Ukraine that much important for India? You know, it is Ukraine is definitely very much important for India, irrespective of its relation with Russia, irrespective of this war going on, irrespective of its relation with the West. Why is Ukraine important? Because of the diaspora which is living there, the students which were studying there. There are a huge number of students are studying in Ukraine, and after the war ends someday, those students will go back to the Ukraine, and we do want that Ukraine and India should have the better relationship, that those Indian students should not be discriminated there. And also there is, between India and Ukraine, we have huge trade relations also. We have cultural and historical ties. We have many defense, we import many defense equipments from Ukraine. So there is huge trade relation between Ukraine and India. So with this, we discussed this article with respect to, we put little light on this article with respect to the Russia, with respect to with respect to this war going on between Russia and Ukraine. We put little light on how Ukraine's had visits, how Ukraine's had visits India, how it sees India as the negotiator, how it sees that India can negotiate this war. And right now India is in a condition that they can negotiate this war, and if India wants, they can definitely negotiate this war. So India has always believed in that, war fields do not prevail peace. While India has always believed that war fields do not prevail the proper solution. So solution is in talks. India has always believed in it, and India is always pushing towards the peace initiatives. So with this, I hope the crux of this article is very much understood to you guys. Now let's look at the question which can be framed from this article. With respect to Ukraine, many questions can be framed right now, and you would had almost memorized everything with respect to Ukraine. Here we have taken a little different angle to it. We are discussing the trade relation between India and Ukraine. Let's have a look at that. Let's see how we can form a question from this article. Here the question says, which of the following statements about the trade relations between India and Ukraine are correct? The first statement: India and Ukraine have a bilateral trade agreement that covers sectors such as agriculture, pharmaceuticals, and defense. 100% correct. We export coconut oil there, and that is highly respected there. And many defense equipments are imported from Ukraine. Second statement: Ukraine is one of the largest suppliers of iron ore to India, and India exports primarily machinery and equipments to Ukraine. 100% correct, nothing wrong with this statement. Third, India and Ukraine have established a joint commission on economic cooperation to enhance trade and investment ties. 100% correct. Fourth, the two countries have signed a free trade agreement as part of their trade relations. No, there is no such free trade agreement. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. Now let's move towards the another topic in the newspaper today. It is about the Singapore's condition. It says the energy hungry Singapore eyes deserts and forests for their renewable energy. You know about Singapore, it is a very interesting country. It is, you know, very small island country, but its ambitions are very high. It is Singapore is often a highly touristic destination for many countries. So it is about Singapore. We should know it is very small country, very island country. It does not have significant amount of land space. So you know there are some drawbacks with respect to the Singapore. You know, Singapore, they had pledged to achieve the net zero target by 2050. For that, to achieve that target, right now the Singapore is mostly dependent on the imports of the crude oil, imports of the fossil fuel based fossil fuel based for imports on crude oil, imports on fossil fuels. So right now Singapore is very much dependent on those fuels which lead to the emissions, for example petroleum, for example other materials like that. So they had pledged Singapore has pledged to achieve the net zero by 2050. And for this, and right now the condition of the Singapore is like that the population is increasing. That does not mean the land they have that will also increase. Unfortunately, that will not happen. So the availability of the space for the Singapore is the major issue. You know, they have to, as they had promised to achieve the net zero emissions by 2050, so they have to cut down the fossil fuels and they have to depend more on the renewable energy. You know, to depend on the to depend more on the renewable energy, they have to depend on the solar energy, and for that they need more land availability. So there are very much various issues with respect to it, with respect to the renewable energy. So what Singapore has does that they have to import energies from the different countries. You know, with respect to the renewable energy also, Singapore is looking to import renewable energy from different countries, for example Australia. You know, what would be the impact of this import? There would be significant amount of loss, and you know this energy won't be sufficient for the population there, for the people in the for the population in the country. So there are various challenges with respect to the with respect to its targets, with respect to the Singapore's achievement to its targets, that they will achieve it by 2050. They have to shift towards the renewable energies, but availability of the land is the major issue with respect to achieving the renewable energies. So they have to depend on the imports of the renewable energy, especially from the Australia. But you know, there would definitely transfer of that amount of energy to that huge distance. There would be huge losses with respect to this transfer. So there would be major issues with it. Now let's look at the challenges which are, let's formally discuss the challenges. You know, there is a growing energy need with the time. You know, population is increasing and the land is going to remain still. Lack of renewable options, 100% correct. You know, there would be transmission losses because they are going to import it from different from for distant countries, especially Australia. So there would be huge energy loss. And also this leads to the loss of strategic autonomy. You know, strategic autonomy is very much important. For example, right now India, Singapore is very much dependent on the fossil fuels. They can import from those fossil fuels from United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. They can import it from Russia. They have their choices, but with respect to the renewable energies, their choices would be very much limited, and it will definitely impact its strategic autonomy. So with respect to this this article, let's see what can be the question framed for you with respect to your prelims preparation. Here the question says, which of the following statements regarding the renewable energy situation in Singapore is or correct? The first statement: Singapore faces challenges in renewable energy deployment primarily due to its limited land availability for large scale solar installation. 100% correct. Second statement, the government of Singapore has set a target to achieve 50% of its energy needs from renewable sources by 2030. In some articles I had read it is 30%, so let's mark it incorrect. Third statement, Singapore is heavily invested in offshore floating solar farms as a solution to its space constraints for renewable energy generation. 100% correct. They are looking for the offshore floating solar farms. So this is also correct. Statement 4, Singapore relies entirely on imported energy sources and has no significant domestic renewable energy production. This is a totally extreme statement. Even though they rely highly on imported energy sources, but they have their domestic renewable energy production too, but may be limited, but they have. So for this question, the correct options would be option 1 and option 3 only. And from the code given below, the correct option would be option B. Now moving to the another article which was in the newspaper today, it is about the Bangladesh's unrest hits engineering exports. We had seen the condition in the Bangladesh right now, the toppling of the government, the rising of the anti-India stands, and it was very much well understood that the change in the regime, the unevenness in the country, the unrest in the country will definitely lead its impact on India too, because we had huge trade relations with the Bangladesh. Because of that, our exports had reduced to 9%. It has declined to the 9% of, especially in iron and steel. Now India is searching for its new destinations. Right now, UAE is the major destination where India is going to sell these, export these iron and steel, export these engineering instruments or engineering exports. Now with this, it was very small article. With this, let us see what can be the question formed from this article. Let's have a look at it. Here the question says, which of the following statements about India's engineering exports to Bangladesh are correct? The first statement, Bangladesh is one of the key market for India's engineering export with significant trade in machinery, electrical equipment and iron and steel. 100% correct. Statement, the bilateral trade agreement between India and Bangladesh includes provisions specially aimed at enhancing the flow of engineering goods between the two countries. 100% correct. Statement 3, India's engineering exports to Bangladesh have constantly grown over the past decade, driven by the demand for infrastructure development and industrial projects in Bangladesh. 100% correct, but with respect to the current situation, it has declined. We are discussing it with the normal conditions. If this statement were to come in the exam, you have to mark it incorrect. Statement 4, the Engineering Export Promotion Council EEPC India plays a major role in facilitating trade relations and addressing trade barriers between India and Bangladesh. 100% correct. All the statements are correct with respect to this question, but this decline of the exports with Bangladesh, it is not because of any other issue, but it is because of the unrest in the Bangladesh. So right now it is very much new. We have to mark it. We have to mark it correct right now. But let's see. Let us just there would definitely be more articles with respect to this, and we will get more clear idea about it, about our exports to the Bangladesh, about our engineering exports to the Bangladesh. Right now, if this question comes right now in the exam, we have to mark all the 4 statements are correct. Now moving forward to the another article, it is about the Pacific leaders discuss rising sea level. This is a very important article because it has huge significance for these independent Pacific nations. There was the summit meeting going on at the Pacific Island Forum. About the Pacific Island Forum, it is a group of 18 member countries. They met in the island of Tonga, and they discussed about the rising sea levels in Pacific and other conditions. The main reason for this rising sea level is the climate change problems, and also there are tensions between the US and China. It has highly impacted these small independent nations. They are flying around their countries in the air, air base of these countries, so it has definitely impacted these small nations. So with respect to this, let us see what question can be formed from this article. Here the question says, which of the following statements about the Pacific Islands Forum are correct? Statement 1. The Pacific Island Forum is a regional intergovernmental organization aimed at enhancing cooperation and addressing issues among Pacific Island countries. 100% correct. Statement 2. The forum's membership includes Australia, New Zealand, and all independent Pacific Island nations, but does not include any Asian countries. This is incorrect because it does not include. It is very much, extreme option, because all independent Pacific Island nations are not included in this forum, so it is incorrect. Statement 3. The Pacific Island Forum addresses a range of issues including climate change, economic development, and regional security. 100% correct. Statement 4. The forum was established in 1971 and has its secretariat headquartered in Suva, Fiji. This is also correct. So for this question, the correct options would be option 1, 3, and 4. So with this, we complete today's discussion with respect to the current affairs. Now we have to discuss the static topic, which we have to discuss today, which we had put in our which we have to discuss today, and that's static topic is Charter Act of 1793. Now let's look at the static topic which we have to discuss today. It is about the Charter Act of 1793. About this Charter Act, we should know its key features, which is very much important, which is very much relevant for your polity, understanding your polity, and also for your modern history. Why we are discussing these things, as I already mentioned in last class also. We see how the approach of the government changed, how earlier it was the executive, it was legislatures who were the responsible to the executive, and it shows the how slowly and steadily the executive became the responsible to the legislature. We are going to see it, visualize it by studying, by understanding these articles, which were brought forward by the British government till we achieve the independence. And also we see one thing in it, how we went from the decentralization to the centralization. Here we have to discuss about the Charter Act of 1793. Let us see what were its key features. The first key feature of this act was it extended the overriding powers given to Lord Cornwallis over his council to all future governor generals. In Act of 1786, we saw that when Lord Cornwallis was about to become the Governor General of Bengal, he demanded two things: that he should be given power to override the decision of his council in special cases, and also he would also be the commander in chief accordingly. So they were granted to him. So in this Charter Act of 1793, this overriding power which was given to Lord Cornwallis over his council, it was extended to the future governors too, to the future governor generals too. And also this Charter Act of 1793, it gave the governor general more powers and control over the government of subordinate presidencies of Bombay and Madras. So the governor general was made more powerful. It was a step towards the more centralization of the government. Then third, it extended the trade monopoly of East India Company for another 20 years. So this Charter Act of 1793, it extended the trade monopoly of East India Company for another 20 years. And it provided that the commander, and also this act, it provided that the commander in chief was not to be a member of the Governor General's Council unless he was so appointed. And the fifth, it laid down that the members of the Board of Control and their staff were henceforth to be paid out of the Indian revenues. So these were the key features of this Charter Act of 1793. Let us have another look at it. Let's revise it. The first, the powers which were given to the Lord Cornwallis over his council was extended to the future governor generals. Second, it gave more power to the governor general and made him more powerful, and also gave more control to him, control over the governments of subordinate presidencies of Bombay and Madras. and also it extended the trade monopoly of East India Company for another 20 years, and also the members of the board of control and their staff were paid out of the Indian revenues. So this is about the Charter Act of 1793. Now let us see what can be the prelims question formed from this Charter Act. Here the question says, which of the following statements about the Charter Act of 1793 are correct? The first statement, the Charter Act of 1793 was an extension of the East India Company's rule in India and was intended to continue the company's commercial monopoly in India for another 20 years. 100% correct. Nothing wrong with the statement. In fact, we discussed it. Second statement, the Act introduced a system of revenue collection that mandated the appointment of a board of control to oversee the East India Company administration. This is incorrect because it was introduced by the British India Act of 1784. Third statement, it allowed the appointment of new Governor General to improve administrative efficiency and address concerns regarding governance in British India. Also incorrect because it did not change it did not did anything change with respect to the appointment of the Governor General. So statement 3 is also incorrect. Statement 4, the Charter Act of 1793 reaffirmed the company's monopoly over the trade of specific goods such as tea and silk, while also setting provisions for the company's financial management. This is 100% correct. So for this question, the correct statements would be statement 1 and statement 4. So with this, we complete our today's static topic. Now let's have a look at the previous year questions which were in previous year exams. Let us get the ideas from those questions. Let's see how we can solve them, and let's take the information from them. Here the question number 1. In India, the first bank of limited liability managed by Indians and founded in 1881 was. Who was that first bank? Is it Hindustan Commercial Bank? No. Is it Punjab National Bank? No. Is it Punjab and Sindh Bank? No. It is definitely Audh Commercial Bank. So for this question number 1, the correct statement would be statement B. Now we have question number 2. It is about match the following. If you had followed me since long, you would definitely come to know that whenever such questions do come, I match them correctly so that to avoid any confusion. So let's have a look at it. The first statement, first Anglo-Maratha War, it was between 1775 to 1782, correct. Third Mysore War, 1790 to 1792, correct. Fourth, option C, first Anglo-Burmese War, 1824 to 26, correct. Option D, second Sikh War, 1848 to 1849, this is also correct. So in question number 2, all the correct statements are correct. Now moving forward to the question number 3, it says which of the following pairs are correctly matched. In this question also we give the correct match to avoid the confusion. Now let's look at the options. Pitt's India Act, during his time it was Warren Hastings who was the Governor General. Second, Doctrine of Lapse, it was done by the Lord Dalhousie. Third, Vernacular Press Act, it was brought up by Lord Lytton. Fourth, Ilbert Bill, it was brought up by the Lord Ripon. So all these are matched correctly. With this we complete today's discussion. I hope you would like the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much.